Hi guys, and welcome back to the SN Studio for another review on one of the new journal Tactica, specifically the Forges of Saturn. All about Saturnine, or mostly about Saturnine, and yeah, it's actually straight off the bat a much better Tactica journal than the first one, if I say so. If I say so myself, yeah. So big shout out to Games Workshop. Thank you very much to sending us this copy in advance for us to preview. So we're going to have like a quick review of the book itself. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot of fluff about the Saturnine itself, not only for the armor, but for every single legion of what they thought of it. Yep. Some iconic battles as well, where the Saturnine were there. And there's a lot of missions and other things. So we're going to delve through the whole book as much as we can. And we're going to start off with the fluff and the narrative from the book, and that's coming right up. So starting it all off, we've got the Phoebian Accord.
Yes,
I think you pronounce it like that. Basically, it's all the fluff to do with the Saturnine, where it was built, how it was built, who built it, and obviously where it was used before.
Yes.
So straight off the bat, I didn't know that it was all loyalist armies that used it first, and then it basically went on to trade. So basically, at the Drop Site Massacre, it was only loyalist forces that did have the Saturnine themselves.
So yeah, Imperial records, it mentions it that Imperial records have that it was mostly, well, all loyalist legions were deploying this advanced vanguard of Saturnine armor. Mm-hmm. As for their law, it was the Phoebian Accord. Just a quick law fluff. Was an agreement between the Emperor and exiled tech priests and adepts from Mars, mm-hmm. who were given control of Saturn and Jupiter. And they specifically had their forges on the moon of Phoebe, which is, I believe, one of the moons of Saturn. And the Emperor just made the agreement with them, like, look, I'll keep you here, a secret. I won't tell Mars. So they went part of the original Olympus agreement, which brought Mars into the fold of humanity. So the Emperor kept them there under only his and his closest advisors' watch. And they essentially were more involved in the, I suppose, heretics kind of agreements and increasing of armor and such. That's why, for example, the Saturnine, you do need to have Space Marines who have at least some level of psychic potential to be able to man and
which is something I didn't know, is I've just read it in the book itself. So the Phoebian Accord goes through the Saturnine armors. You'll see a lot of pictures now coming as we go. It mentions the Ignis sector Saturnine assets, and then a couple of narrative and fluff into the Saturnine bestowal, the dawn of the Age of Darkness, the Coloran Distal incident, the War of Bitter Iron, and the bloody toll of the Saturnine renewal. So there's a lot that you can read if you're into the narrative itself and the background of the Saturnine itself, which is obviously something very new to all of us. We've always, it was basically fan-made at the very start.
Yes.
And but obviously there was a lot of the older Terminators, which with the Saturnine pattern style.
Massive shoulder problems.
Now they've included it. This is all that we needed to see, all the fluff and all the narrative lead into where the Saturnine came and all. So a lot to go into. We've really enjoyed reading through all of it. Definitely. And specifically there is a part where Vulcan himself is leading a vanguard of Saturnine army, basically, in the initial Istvan 5 Dropside Massacre. And there is where we're going to go straight onto the first mission, which is called the Ignis Sector Assault. And we're going to talk about that coming up.
All right, and now we're on to the Ignis Sector Assault. Again, so when we go through these missions, just a bit of fair warning, these are very narrative missions, very narrative-based. So there might be instances where maybe you see the attacker is very more favored in rules, or the defender is more favored in rules. But with that being said, so the Ignis Sector Assault, it's very unique.
Very unique to Saturnine. Like the whole book is. Like the whole book is.
Yeah, like the whole book. It's very much based on the initial assault of the traitor positions during the Drop Site Massacre, before the whole betrayal took place. So this specific sector talks about the Salamanders attacking the Death Guard's original position. Yeah,
so Vulcan leading into basically Mortarian's Death Guard.
Mortarian's Death Guard, exactly. So it's very cool. It's got the standard base objective, so worth 2 points, 3 points, 2 points, which is something we haven't seen before, varying levels of objective worth.
3 in the middle, 2 on the sides.
Exactly, yeah. It's got the secondaries, like say the Warlord, Giant Killer, Last Man Standing, and First Strike. But then it also does have 4 unique little rules. Well, that's what designers
Three
are
of them,
3
three
unique
of them,
little rules for this mission. So the Spearhead Sector rule, right, where you'll see now on screen, there's a little deployment map. So any units that contain Praetor and Saturnine Terminator armor, Centurions in Saturnine Terminator armor, Saturnine Terminator Command Squad, or Saturnine Terminators must be deployed in the Spearhead sector of your deployment zone, which are those little triangles.
And you deploy them in the reserve subphase.
In the reserve subphase,
yeah, so basically just you deploy there.
Deploy them out straight away, which is very, very cool. There's also a preliminary bombardment, which can be done by the defender.
Yeah.
So this is the initial bombardment of the advancing salamanders. That can be done by what's supposed to be Death Guard, but it does say it can be any faction versus any faction, or any legion versus legion. It does not matter.
But it's mostly pushed towards Saturnine. So it's a mission you want to play basically if you have a lot of Saturnine, or you have some units just to make good use of the Spearhead section in the mission itself for deployment.
Yep, completely. And then you've got the second wave, which the defender doesn't need to make reserve tests for units placed in reserve in the second wave. They automatically come in. Yeah. And there's also the addition that they can come in from the board edges, and the attacker cannot make intercept reactions against these second waves.
So you flank them. Exactly what happened in the Drop Site Massacre.
Yeah.
Something to do with the preliminary bombardment. This is done as snapfire shots. So all the artillery, all the what are they called?
The quad accelerator autocannon
and the tarantula batteries can all fire before the game starts as well. But it's snap firing. So there's like a shooting phase just for the tarantulas and the other batteries to basically shoot as snapshots towards the incoming. It's really cool. Like a lot of like extra flavor in the mission, which we don't have in other missions in the main book. Again, very narrative focused, and this mission will actually be played in a few weeks' time on SN Plus. So if you are an SN Plus member, you will see this mission in place play. Maybe not with the Salamanders for the Death Guard, but we will try and have one of those armies, which we are currently painting up some Saturnine for, to make good use of the Spearhead, as we've already stated. So something new, another mission which, to be honest, the 3 missions in the rulebook have become a bit stale, with only 3 of them there. So having these incorporated for you to try out at the club or with friends or in maybe narrative events is always good to see. So that's the first mission it brings. Now it does bring some new Apex missions. Onslaught missions, which are very interesting. So we're going to go into those coming up. So on to the Onslaught missions, and again, more missions for us to use, which is always great to have. Now, these are completely different to anything we've seen up to now in any of the rule books or any of the other tactical journals. The battlefield, every battlefield, there's 3 missions. Every battlefield is broken up or into 16 different sections, as you see now in the Panover. And these are great because it really breaks up the game into a complete different mechanic to what we've seen in missions. Now, Kieran, do you want to explain how the mission actually work? Missions actually work.
Yeah.
There is 3 of them.
So again, very narrative and very fluffy. For all these missions, it should be noted that there are some conditions that have to be followed. For example, the defenders don't get any variation of line. Any variation of line is automatically conferred into any variation of Vanguard
1, and Vanguard 1,
or Vanguard 2.
Or Vanguard 2,
nice. Or Vanguard 2. So it's very much a case of the defenders trying to defend and push the attackers off objectives, and the attackers trying to capture those objectives. So for on that, we'll go into the first mission over here, which is Line Advance. So as you can see on screen, there is a lot of those little like crosshair markers.
Yeah, it was confusing when you see them at start, because it's like, why is there so many objectives? They're not all objectives. It's only the first line which are objectives, which then move on.
Yes, exactly. And this one's one of those cool missions that we're actually scratching our head around for a bit. But it's essentially that every time the attacker scores an objective, that objective stays in place, while any others that they're on do advance. And as they advance, they become higher in worth. So if the first line of objectives is worth 1 victory point, while the others do advance, they become 2 and then 3 and then potentially 3 again with a +1.
So I think there's only a maximum of 9 points you can score, with objectives being the attacker, 1 for the first one, if it's a 4-turn mission, obviously. So it's low-scoring mission, but it's going to be a low-scoring mission on both sides, because Vanguard is going to be very tricky, because if you're smart, you're not always going to go onto objectives for them to be around. There's always going to be a unit on the objective, because obviously if you want to score, they're going to be there for the next turn. But it's very it's very tactical because you can move objectives in one flank. You can try and make the enemy think that you are moving that, but you're actually going to score another one. It's very tricky, and we can't wait to actually play these missions. And again, these missions will be played in the next few weeks for you to actually see how exactly they work. But they're very different, and they're very cool. As you can see, we've got some other Onslaught missions. We've got Breakthrough and Dawn Raid. These work specifically the same, but the deployments for each of those attackers and defender armies are completely different.
And they have different rules as well for that specific mission. So, for example, Breakthrough has got encircling reinforcements, and Dawn Raid has got surprise attack. So, again, very cool, very fluffy. And I think I look forward to actually
it is. It's one that you have to be very tactical, because one army, basically the defender, can only score vanguard points and secondary points, whilst the loyalists can only score basically line and the secondaries as well. I guess they can get vanguard.
They can still get,
because if the enemy goes onto an objective, even if they can't score it,
they can still deny
deny it and stuff like that. So very interesting, complete different revamp to what we've seen up to now, and that is exactly, I think, what most of us have been asking. We want different missions with a lot of different rules in them, and just the play style is just going to be very different as well. So we're looking forward to playing these missions. But from us, I think it's a 10 out of 10 to have something this different in the Apex.
The Crusade
Onslaught, not Apex. So with that said, we're going to go on to some specific units, new units now included in this Tactica journal, specific again to Saturnine, of course, and that's coming right up.
Hold the phone. So before we do go into those units, we do actually have 2 new detachments that we can play with. So these are available to all Legion Astartes, which is very nice. So we'll go for the first one, which is actually called the Line Breaker Echelon. So this is going to be your Terminators, your retinue, and in a War Machine slot, which is always very sought after. Everyone loves a War Machine. However, this Echelon is an Apex, so only brought in by either a Delegatus or your High Command. Excellent. And there is a caveat that you must select a keyword, one of these either being Saturnine, Cataphracti, or Tartarus. One of these keywords, when selected, the 2 Shock Assault detachments slots in this detachment and the 1 Retinue detachment may only be made up of models that have that keyword. So if I go Cataphracti, I can only have a Cataphracti command squad for my retinue and 2 Cataphracti Terminators. Or the same with Saturnine.
But you can mix them up, right? You can have like one of them can be Saturnine, one of them can be Tartarus.
All of them have to be that.
All of them?
All of them, this slot in this detachment may only be used to select those units.
Cool. And then there is a War Machine slot. Doesn't specifically say what a War Machine has, so you can bring any type of Contemptor. But you can go like a full detachment of Saturnine, because you can take the Saturnine normal guys, you can bring the retinue, which we're going to go into now, and you could bring a Saturnine Dreadnought as well. So that's the first one.
It should be mentioned, one of those shock assaults, it's a prime, so logistical benefit.
You can bring benefit, or just give combat veterans or something like that.
Exactly. And then we do have a Maelstrom Sentry Battery. So this detachment has 2 support slots and 3 recon slots. However, it may only be brought when you bring a Master of Signals. So instead of bringing an auxiliary with the Master of Signals, he can bring this Maelstrom Sentry Battery.
Some tax to that.
Tax. And there is a caveat, which is support slots in this detachment may only be used to select the Arcane Aquator Accelerator platforms, which is the big new 4-quad cannon battery thing. And recon slots in this detachment may only be used to select Tarantula batteries units. So there you go. If you wanted to bring a lot of batteries, a lot of
we're seeing them a lot.
We're seeing them a lot.
I personally think that they're going to be a problem in the near future, because I think that just everybody is going to start taking them. So I think
they're very cheeky units.
They're very cheeky. Like you can block movement. They've got you can only score 1 point against them because they've got expendable 3, expendable 2. No?
Expendable 2 or 3.
They've got expendable, so I think you can only score like a point for first strike. And everybody's been using them. Like I saw a lot of them at recent events this weekend, and I think the more people paint them and the more people see the usage they have, the more we'll bring them. So EOs, TOs, bear in mind, I think there's going to be some chat about that in the near future of maybe restrict them. This is maybe something this is a big maybe. I don't want people to go nuts about it, but let me know what you've thought about them if you have played against them and have played with them. maybe a chat for the future. And again, events have just started, so we do need to give them a few extra months to see where these sentry guns do lead us to. But then we can go into the units themselves. Very excited about these. Very cool. So we're going to start off. There is a Saturnine Centurion now. So there was like leaked pictures, or not even leaked. I think Games Workshop actually posted some, and people were like, how is this a thing? So obviously people have started thinking like, okay, this is something that we're going to have in the future. So Saturnine Centurion, very cool model as well. It can be, obviously it's got the stats of a normal Saturnine. So 1 less wounds than a Praetor, 1 less weapon skill than a Praetor, but still has the stat line of a Centurion itself. You can equip them with the hammer, the axe, shooting as well, right?
Centurions can't actually. Centurions are shooting only.
Oh,
they
shooting
can
only.
have a fist.
Oh, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
The command squad can.
The command squad can.
But the Centurion can only have a fist and the shooting, ability. Now, the sad part is that the Praetor does bring a rule or a war gear that allows him to deep strike with him and different units.
The transponder.
Yep. He doesn't get the transponder. He gets the synchronizer. So the only way of him deep striking is if he goes in a unit with a Praetor. Which is a bit sad. I thought that he was going to get it anyway. So there's a lot of tax if you want to have a Centurion deep strike, because you need to have a Praetor, and you probably want another unit as well with them to come in.
Close to almost 25% of your army is
basically going to be this unit deep striking. Apart from that, it's got the normal stats of Slow and Purposeful, Implacable Advance, everything is that. And it's got Officer of the Line as well, like a normal Centurion. So looking forward to it, see how it performs. We'll probably get 1 or 2 painted up for different legions here in the army. And then we go on to my most exciting, and I think it's going to be something that we're going to see a lot, because I think that they're very strong, and that is the Saturnine Terminator Command Squad. So this unit starts with 2 models only.
Only 2.
And they come as stock with the paired fists. So this is something that's very weird, because the normal Saturnine kit, Terminator kit, doesn't bring 2 fists. It just brings a right-handed,
a left fist,
and a right-handed. So the only way you can get paired fists is if you buy a lot of Praetor Saturnine in Saturnine Terminator, which brings the 2 fists. That's got to be costly.
And the hammer and the axe.
And the hammers and the axe, because you can also have the hammers and the axe on these models. Now, we think that they might be a upgrade kit for this command squad. It only makes sense that such an iconic new unit that a lot of people are going to try and get can get the axe, can get the hammer, can get dual fists, but the only way to get those on those models is by getting the Praetor, which you want equipped with the hammer or the axe as well. So very cool unit. Starts with 2, can have up to 4 more, so we can take it to a 6-man. Can have a Legion standard. Can have the likes of, so we can read. So you can change the 2 fists for
a Plasma Bombard or 1 Saturnine Disruption Fist, a Twin Heavy Disintegrator and 1 Saturnine Disruption Fist, a Saturnine War Axe and 1 fist, or a Saturnine Hammer and 1 fist. Which is nice. And then you can always add a Particle Shredder or a Plasma Blaster to
like
each
the
of them.
normal guys. The cool thing is the weapon skill 5. And so weapon skill 5. And if you have the paired fist, you'll keep them just as cheap as possible. They give you an extra attack, same stats as a fist, so they're damage 2, AP 2, plus 2 strength, but give you an extra attack, taking them to 4 attacks each, because the command squad does have 3 as standard. Pretty good, if I say so myself. I think we're going to see a lot of command squads. I'm already building some. You've seen probably in our Patreon. If you are a patron and you are in our global Horus Heresy WhatsApp community, you've seen me ask in a couple of groups if anybody has some cheeky extra hammers or axes, because a squad with all axes or some hammers or even the dual fists is going to be very good, especially with a Praetor being able to deep strike them as well. So a mix of maybe shooting and close combat is going to be quite brutal.
I think you always want at least 1 axe and then just all the hammers. So the axe can always strike, and then they are tough. They are tough to take down. So the Axeman might die, someone might get wounded, but then everything else is swinging.
Yeah, or if you're going to deep strike, you have the shooting abilities.
Yeah.
And then when you get into combat, the first ones that you're going to remove are going to be the shooting guys that have already shot at. I'm already thinking of the likes of Thousand Suns, granting them like a +2 toughness or the Shrouded save when they get shot at. And when they deep strike, and then they are going to basically get into combat with a much better defensive buff to them to survive that onslaught of attacks that they're coming to.
Yes.
Great little unit. I'm sure a lot of you are now really excited if you haven't heard of them already. And lastly, we've got the how do you pronounce that? So
I'm just gonna call them the Anointed Conclave.
The Anointed Conclave.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try pronounce
Phraetus.
Phraetus.
Let us know. We should have used Google to translate it for us beforehand.
Now we're just like idiots.
But this is basically a demon inside a Saturnine Terminator armor.
Yes.
And these guys are good.
And would you believe it? They're word bearers only.
Word bearers only, yeah. Really cool. We're going to show you how the armor looks. So there is some art. Black armor, it looks absolutely amazing. You've got the demon glow coming through the helmet surface, and it looks absolute. Now, these guys are, personally, I think they are incredible.
Yeah.
Now, they are quite expensive. They come at 240 points for 3. Do you want to go through the extra rules they have?
Yeah, I'll go through the rules. I can just point out their lore as well. It's so cool. It's just the idea that the Marine is infused with a demon, which slowly eats the Marine and takes over the armor, which is mind-blowing. It's made so word bearer. I think word bearers need this.
Yeah.
Yes, so they've got weapon skill 5 as well, so they're tough in combat. It's all the same stats as a normal Saturnine. However, they do lose a cool on the Anointed. That's fine. They're still on cool 8. They've got bulky 4, a flame 2, which is insane.
Yeah, a flame. So to make it like really easy for you to understand, think about it as fear
for combat only.
For combat only. If you basically wound the unit, it basically comes up in flames, and it's -2 to any leadership test it takes in the combat phase. So a sort of fear, really good if you tell me about it. Like,
I mean, these guys are tough.
These guys are tough.
Damage.
They do the damage because they've got the fists as well. A little really extra little. And
Eternal Warrior 1.
Yeah.
So all your damage-free Saturnine fists are damage 2, and you're not killing them outright.
Yeah, and any damage 2 from normal fists is now damage 1. So
like,
very good little addition there.
They explode on a 5+, not a 6+.
6 up, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Implacable, advanced, and slow and purposeful as always. And they are heavy and malefic, so they can never be statist.
Never statist. That's a really good unit. Like, I think every Word Bearer Legion are going to have a few units of these.
Yeah, these
now,
guys are very good.
As for weapons...
Yeah, so for weapons, they do come with a paired Disruption Fists. They have a cool little rule called the Warpfire Mantle, which we'll get onto now, and they do have a Teleport Synchronizer.
Yeah.
So any model in the unit may have its paired fist replaced with a Plasma Bombard and 1 Disruption Fist, so the Plasma and the Fist. It can have a Heavy Disintegrator and a fist, or it can have a Saturnine War Axe and a fist.
Yeah.
And they can always have a Particle Shredder, but not a Plasma Blaster. And this is, I think this is the biggest thing, which is the leader, not even going to try to pronounce that, but the Discipline, basically, in this unit can have a Saturnine Teleportation Transponder, which is what the Praetor has.
So they can deep strike.
They can deep strike without needing to join anyone.
Yeah, so they just deep strike by themselves. It's very good, guys. It's very good. Yep. Again, the dual fists, again, another pointer there of me thinking that there will be an upgrade kit later on, because again, this is another unit that has the 2 fists, and it just doesn't make sense that the only way to get that officially from Games Workshop is by buying the Praetor itself. Now, one of the best little additions to it is got some specific war gear just for them.
Yes, so the Warpfire Mantle, which pairs in quite well with this deep strike, because I deep strike, say, an inch away from you, and now the Warpfire Mantle, at the end of the attack subphase of any shooting phase, a unit that contains any models with the Warpfire Mantles which passed at least 1 armor or invulnerable save against wounds caused by shooting attacks in that shooting phase, every unit with at least 1 model within 8 inches of that model, or that unit, sorry, 1 model in that unit, must take a toughness check, unless it contains any models with the Warpfire Mantle special rule. A unit that fails this toughness check suffers D3 automatic wounds with a damage of 1 and AP of 2, of which no saves of any kind.
No saves of any kind. It's not even invulnerable saves.
No saves of any kind.
No saves of any kind. So just damage mitigation rolls. But it's great because you drop them down in small units. You want to shoot at me, fine. You're going to take the toughness test back and get some wounds back in return. Apart from them being resilient anyway already with the high toughness, the good save, and the Eternal Warrior 1. Yeah, decent units. Yeah.
These guys are very cool. They are very fluffy.
Yeah.
I like this, and I really hope to see some of them on the board.
Yeah, definitely. We've got new word bearers coming very, very soon, so maybe you see them in the near future. And to finish off the this little really cool
segment
book, we've got some Arcanas. So we're going to go into that coming up next. So we move on to the new Arcana called Osirian. Now this is specifically for Saturnine units, all Saturnine units, and also for walkers as well, specifically for walkers. Not only Saturnine walkers, but all walkers. There's two. There's psychometry and machine empathy. Both of them very different. Now, quick take on them. The first one triggers on the shooting phase, and basically what happens is if any unit has the overload rule, you basically -1 to them. You can actually go to zero
and make the rule redundant.
Or if it's 2, you go down to 1. So straight away, I'm thinking of the Saturnine with the heavy twin disintegrators, which have overload 2. Taking it to overload 1 is very, very good and very different. If you've played them or played against them, you know just how much they kill themselves, especially with the damage 2. So having this is actually a good shout if you actually want to do a heavy disintegrator unit for Saturnine. Basically, this is the Arcana you want if you are playing Thousand Suns. So the second one, though, is machine empathy. So very different to the first one. This one triggers in the effects subphase, and you basically give a wound back to a model of your choice. Great little addition if your Praetor or your new Centurion is down to low wounds or just on 1 wound. Cheeky, 1 wound back. And if we talk about the dreadnoughts themselves, how difficult they are to take wounds off, especially the likes of the Saturnine or the Leviathan, which are higher toughness. Low wounds, 1 back to a maximum of what you start. You can't go over your maximum wounds. But again, 2 Arcanas, very different to what you already have, which will help out in the new Saturnine range. And that basically is the end of the book. A very cool book, a Journal Tactica, which I personally believe is much better than the first one.
I agree.
A lot more in it, a lot more missions, a lot more rules, a lot more everything, basically. And basically the hot take right now is Saturnine, the new units in the block, and having extra rules for them and extra units for them, I think makes everybody happy, especially us. We're already thinking about what legions we're going to add these command squads and centurions to, and I think that a lot of you at home will be very happy. We've also been asking for new missions, because obviously having 3 only in the book is something that does become stale as you go playing. So having these missions to try out with friends, at clubs, campaigns, or even in tournaments, if you are into those, is actually something quite interesting to use as well. So that's it from us. Hope you've enjoyed the Tactica, or not Tactica, it's basically a review of the Tactica journal. Yeah, we'll have more of these coming in the near future. And that's the end of us. So we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
See you guys.